Okay, we're interviewing Earl Lilligren. We've got Dallas Buckway here. We've got Jeff Brooks, that's right. I first met Jeff Bank before he left on his mission, didn't I, Jeff?
Been a while.
But we're waiting for Jim Cox, Floyd Weston, and Dr. Leif Parrish is going to meet us in Fillmore. What are we going down there for, Earl?
Study the Moroni writings on the wall on the stonework up in the...
Okay, that's correct. In full. Well, Floyd didn't make it, huh?
Nope.
Is he?
Called a few minutes ago. He got a call at 1:30.
We're now here in Fillmore in front of Brother Allgood's place. The people that are traveling with me have just gone in to meet with Brother Allgood. I left the camera back in the Dallas Buckway's van, so I just went back to get it. But you can see some of the work that he's done here. It's unbelievable. And he'll be talking to them in there about the writings, and he has the rock that has Moroni's signature on it here, and I'll take a picture of that in a few minutes. Boy, he's got a talent for...
He does what he enjoys doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to admit that.
It'd be nice to be able to, you know, have the... Oh, it's getting warm. I knew I should have thrown in the short sleeve. Oh, you're cool.
No. That rock is right behind your head there, Earl. That rock is right over there.
You'll be interested in this.
Okay, this is the rock that Allgood brought down from the canyon, and it's Moroni's signature is an immortal, indicating that the records are still at the place where he says they are.
That much of that's the Royal Crown of Egypt, or M sound. This is the plowshare, and R sound. This is NAI in Budger's dictionary, and that NAI, the I alone, it says benevolent man of God, he with great powers such as a prophet. These are the rays of living light of the windows of heaven, the 5 eyelashes. You put it together, Ma, Ro, Nai. And this is yin yang, one of the oldest symbols on earth, but with these spots in it, it's angel. Dates back into Egypt. Chinese use that symbol. That symbol's used by lots of the ancients. Took it to Beckwith at Delta in 1938. And Beckwith said, well, with the moss that's in the writings itself, why, he says it's at least 1,000 years old.
Is Cliff Purcell still alive? He wasn't in too good...
He died about 4 or 5 months ago.
Down in Kingman, Arizona?
No, he was right here. His
was he?
Still here. We go down and see her quite often.
Yeah. Good man.
Yes, he was. The guy that owned the property at one time, what he should do.
That was Harold Huntsman?
Well, you could say it too. Yin yang, or the old symbol with the 2 dots between them. Now this, Jose says, is what the Hilcamore looks like in Tampico, Mexico. It's a natural fortress. These are Sandrock Mountain. They're 200-foot cliffs, and then slow slopes coming off of ravines. And down in this lower area here, the Mexicans are digging out a layer of soil at 5 feet, black soil going through the sand, and a layer of soil at 3 feet. That's just wonderful for their garden. That would be the Geraldite battle at 5 feet and Nephite battle at 3 feet. It's bone meal's what they're getting. And there are bodies, heaped on bodies there. There were 10 generals, or 20 generals altogether, 10 Moroni named and 10 he didn't name, each one with 10,000 under the command. You read the last battle. When the Lamanites left the top of the mountain, Moroni and the 22 survivors and his father and himself came out of hiding. They walked around the mountain and counted each general with his 10,000 dead. You have to have elevation to look down and see that many dead people. The one in New York is too wooded, and you wouldn't be able to count 1 million people dead. There's at least 1 million counting their families and the Lamanites killed and everything. Jose said they gathered the families around here, put their generals up here out of arrow shot, put their soldiers out here, and they could see their enemy coming for miles. And you can see some of the cities from there, from these cliffs. And Jose has helped uncover 35 of those cities, and he's got them all named, pretty much all named by the Book of Mormon. It's that many days march, day and a half, in that direction. You're right in the heart of the city. He bought 2/3 of the city Bountiful in the jungle from the government. They didn't know it was there, and he was getting artifacts out of there, but they ended up putting him in jail for 4 years after he left here. But he's been back and visited us since, and he has helped uncover 35 cities, so he said. Okay, this is fundamental Nephite Egyptian, and it is very fundamental if you think about it. He's facing the direction you read, so's the boot and the walking legs. That'll start you out. He said, begin, that's all he's saying, a square line measurement. In other words, you step off a square line measurement, descending from that which is in front of. Petroglyphs are rock at the horizon merger. Now that ties in this map rock right here. That emblem. That's this mountain thrust in front of this mountain, and the blue sky niche is right there. And we're oriented here right now. This is north, east, and see, when you stand on this side, we'll take you and show you up there. When you stand on this side of the boulder, these 3 dots in a row point right to the hieroglyphs with that emblem. It's dead on. And Jose took the measurements as given here, and he's trying to find this one lone dot there, and he measured the land at 100 cubits per side, then he crossed these diagonals and went straight down up there, and he hit the natural stone chamber. But he went back to Mexico, and a professor down there said, don't you know the North Star varies 30 degrees every 62 years? It'll go to the east and then back to the west. It's always moving back and forth. It doesn't always due north. Well, anyway, he computed the time of Moroni till now, and he was a full 15 degrees to the west, so he should have taken these measurements a little bit different. So he did, and put a stake down up there, and I had drilled in the gold files, pulled by what they call radiesthesia. That's body rim instruments. The ancients used them to find the gold and silver. You knew that, didn't you? They'd get rich in 3 or 4 years. That's because they didn't mine low-grade ores. They could walk right to the high grade by using the body run instrument and then go to dig it. The body run instruments, well, it's radiesthesia is what it is. Some people call it dowsing, doodle bugging, and all sorts of things like that. Water witching, all that. It's what you hold in your hand, the electronics of your body, and what you concentrate on, you can find. And you'll notice that they got rich in a few years, and in one case, the prophet said, if you don't change your ways, the Lord will make your wealth slippery in your fingers, and it'll melt back into the earth. And it did. They were stealing from one another, and they couldn't sleep at night, and they'd lose their sword and their money. They'd go out and hide it, and then all the Lord did was confuse their instruments. And they couldn't walk back to it again. So it melted back into the earth. I think our Heavenly Father lets us do it to ourselves first. And He'll intervene if He has to. He'll only let people get so wicked. He does something about it. Okay, now, what come to me I can't tell you, because it'll possibly give the entrance over there. Jose read it right, but there's a key to it all. I might have the key and I might not, but I won't go looking. I would have to be told by Moroni to go look. I backed out of the whole project when Jose translated that. I wouldn't go work on it. I just told him I had a family to take care of, and I just couldn't be up there digging. But I didn't feel right about it. Okay, he's saying, begin a square land measurement descending from that which is in front of petroglyphs or rocket horizon merger, orienting it with the 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. To gain entrance, a house just showing an entrance. This means to measure 2 sides towards the constellation of the Great Bear. That's Big Dipper, North Star. That's these 2 blank sides go to the north. This square land measurement has crossing diagonals with intersecting points. By placing, if I put my hand on you, that'd be placing the 2 sides, closing, converging points, the square land measurement. In other words, you got to close this. And he says this time measure 100 cubits per side, retreating down the middle. Summit. You head with 3 marks on, meaning top of or summit of the hill where you start your measurement right here. To remove from place of concealment, a hand taking something, metal tablet. By this, I was hunting for Spanish treasure. In all the Spanish books on treasure, that's wealth, ingots, gold, silver, treasure, that particular emblem. Okay, now Jose was translating this to an Indian. And the Indian says, I know where there's some more of that writing, but he says, I won't tell you where it is because it's the burial ground of my people. Jose talked him into it. He took him just 1 mile out of Cedar City. It was all full of moss. Jose scraped it out and took pictures of this and translated this in 2. But you can see the same person did it just by looking at that. Made the same style, same way. It's like reading your own handwriting. You know your handwriting when you see it. Okay, it is a burial ground of the ancients. See the man with no head in that tomb. And this is records, and you search on the center summit, and you hack a straight path eastward. But Jose translated this one too, and then 30 feet from this, you'll find the Star of David and some other writing right there together. That's 30 feet from it, just like Moroni's signature was about 12 feet from this one. I'll show you where it broke out. I've just brought it down for safety.
Is that whole thing translated?
Yeah, Jose's translation, I can just quote it to you. Hack a straight path eastward along the face of the rock, 864 cubits, searching on the center summit for a cap rock which covers an old mine and a burial ground of the ancients where men, women, and children are buried. And you're to take a ladder and go to the bottom of the hole, then go 64 cubits, break down a side wall, which enters you into a room where there's records laid away to the Lord. That's the way he reads the one that's And on the cubits, I'm not sure of what cubit he said. I know it was over 100 cubits. I don't know just the odd number there. I'd learned it by heart before he'd give this information to a professor. He didn't have one with him, and he used mine, and he had it all written out. But I'd learned it by heart. So,
what's the distance of a cubit in our?
Well, this is a cubit from here to here, or from here to here. Depends on the man doing the job. If his arm was longer, well, it could vary. 18 to 21 and a half inches. 21 and a half inch one would be a pretty big man. There is a royal cubit around 41 feet. That's a royal, what they call them, a royal cubit.
In this ancient language and so forth.
Mine won't pick that up because of the light underneath it there. Leif, you enjoying yourself over there? Dallas, is this interesting?
Yeah.
Jeff, what's your feeling?
Fascinating. I'm really happy.
Fascinating is right. Jim, you impressed with this?
Yeah, I'm not. It's just like a whole different world for me.
Yeah. It really is.
David Tomlinson, who last had the hieroglyphs up here, had the properties. I give him the board, but I got a copy right here of what this is what the Long wrote. Same type of writing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if I can pick that up.
You can have that. I'll give you that piece.
Oh, great.
Notice how he said, to go book your Americans finding here, we are among peoples which got it, G-O-T-E-D, already in Laos. If you're anyone need to know for information, welcome to Laos. And then he wrote that. And Chuling said that, Chuling Vang said that there were 7 monks come to visit him the month before. And evidently they tried to go up the canyon, and that was the year it was washed out. And they took my road and went up to the end of it. And they left that message on the 2-6.
Now, are you going to be able to go up with us, Brother Allgood?
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's good.
No, I've got something else to show you that's going to curl your hair. And it's going to make you, the plates were stolen from him. They weren't plates, it was coins. There was treasure in the cave. But he searched for 10 years and he found this cave. The Indian told him how to read the map that he found when he was turkey farming, herding turkeys. And he got to digging in a little old cave, and then he found this map on a rock, and he finally found somebody that could read it, and told him how to locate this cave, and he located the cave. And the man in the cave is 14 feet tall, and the woman in the cave with him is 10 feet tall. That's odd. Well, later, another man left me this, and he says he took it from a brass plate that come out of the cave, and he took these plaster of Paris imprints of it and then rubbed it full of graphite so he could see what it looks like. And all the writing that's in that is, I think, is pure Adamic and dates back beyond Noah, because Noah says there are giants in the land. We don't go into those areas because they would annihilate us. Well, look at the writing in the hood of that guy. There's his eye and his nose and his mouth and his ear and earrings and everything, but look at the writing in that hood. That'll probably be pure Adamic language. As Adam spoke. That different. You hold it in the light, and then you can see. You get it tilted just so. I need to see that.
Did
I
you
need to get some
read it for us,
rub it
Douglas?
so it'll darken it up. Look at his face. He's the odd-looking character.
Did you read that? Al?
Yeah, hold that right there, Dallas. Let me see if I can pick that up.
Well, Johnny said if the government would give him $1 million tax-free, he'd let him have it, but they're not about to. The government gets their hands on it, they just take it away from him. So he sealed the cave back up.
I need
It's caused them a lot of trouble too, this whole thing.
Who has, do you still have the claim on this up here, or who has it now?
No, I think it's gone back in the Forest Service, but I don't know. Tomlinson didn't do his assessment work last year, and they may have taken it back over. I know I won't monkey with it up there to any degree. I won't do any digging and whatnot for any treasure. I'd have to be told by Moroni to go digging for that.
Brother Allgood really has a talent for all of this kind of wood art and rock art.
No, these twisted grains like this. What causes the thread to twist is heat through on the top floor. Then the ground is
Little cave up there?
on the rocks, right where the
Uh-huh.
blue sky niches,
Yeah.
that's where the hieroglyphs are.
Oh, I see.
So it niches right on. So
Yeah.
it ties in. This ties with that.
Huh.
Okay. Notice the slope of the top hill right here. There it is. This is natural, but this is the next little green slope right over your car there. See it? And it's all been chiseled down. And this rock is shaped. It comes right out over here. Comes back, and we're standing right here. This comes right out here, see it? And then swings back, and then you'll find if you go over this hill right here, you'll find this apron coming out just like that. That's a topographical map of this whole area. Perfectly done. Down on the sides, you'll see the different depths that they probably mined the ore. They go way down in some cases. I put bee smoke in about right in here, and it went in constantly. That's back of the hieroglyphs. This is the hieroglyphs. And it went in constantly, and I sent and got some orange flares and put 9 minutes of orange flares in the mountain, run all over these hills looking for an exhaust. I never found one. In other words, I was in hope a ground dog or something would have had dug into the mine that I could follow it and get into that old mine. But I wasn't supposed to, I guess. But anything that'll suck that much smoke in, orange smoke, and never exhausted anywhere is expensive. Has to be.
Did you say these were mine?
I think this is the mine, and the entrance is around back of the hieroglyphs. And they come in here and up to this point here, put the records here, and then backfilled it. That's so that the body run instruments of the ancients, there's enough gold here to pull it away from that little pile of gold flakes.
I'm
And
still
it's the
worried
same way
somebody's
at
gonna,
Cedar City.
I'm still worried somebody's going to damage this before it's protected.
What can you do? They could come up here with a bunch of pry bars and send it down the hill. That's all that I know of here.
Okay, we're up here to the writings. I'm recording this on camera. We've got
How far back in there does that go, do we know?
I don't know.
That's not all.
a beautiful area here. You look out over the valley. Someday there might be a temple or even a pageant held
What's
here.
that tell us again?
When you get down,
What does that tell us?
That's what I want to... What was what?
What's this tell us?
That tells where the records are, that there are records here. Tells where the measurements and so forth are. If he comes up here, we'll... It's the same thing that he had on his desk down there.
I'm curious to see what that says.
Did this have a
again.
shaft
You
at
remember
one
what
time?
I don't know.
Okay, that first head down there where you start to read.
Yes.
Okay. And then the last head with the 3 marks on, meaning top up.
Yes.
Well, the first head is Kayen in Egyptian. The last head is Dawain in Egyptian. Well, Kent Neely was the first guy that fell down that hole and died, and Dwayne White was the second. That scared Jose more than anything. Kent Neely and Dwayne White. You're almost like it was supposed to be. Well, what Jose Davila said scared him the most, and he decided to leave here and not work on this project anymore, was the first head on there says begin. And in Egyptian that's Kayen. And the last head on there is top of, and that's Dawain in Egyptian, and that means Dwayne White was the second guy that was killed, and Kent Neely was the first one that was killed that fell down that shaft.
They fell down or they went down, didn't it?
Well, the monoxide gas, they had the compressor sitting right over here, about where your truck is, and the wind shifted in the canyon that evening. They'd gone down to get something to eat. They hadn't to eat all day, and met their father coming up, and they said, "Come up and wait for us." And Kent went down the hole, his son, and he tugged to come back up, and the rope went slack. So the son-in-law called the father over and showed him how to run the winch, and he went down, and then he tugged to come back up, and on the way up, the father told me he'd just come into sight, and he turned loose of the rope and fell over backwards. So he fell probably 60-some feet. Well, he stopped at my house, and And we called the fire department, and I went down and got a night plant to light up the area. But the fire department got ahead of me, and they'd sent one man down, and the oxygen and whatever it was, it made him sick. And that was my neighbor there, Watcott. Garn, Watcott, yeah. Made him sick, and so they harnessed the cop in, a hare, by the name of Hare, and he was going to go down, but he was just shaking so bad he was scared to death.
That was Mike Hare.
So I said, well, I'll go down. And so I said, just tie me up tight, and I don't want all that equipment on me, I'll go down. I went down, and they had lowered hose all over the top of the bodies from the compressor. And I finally pulled it out of a corner, and it started hitting me in the face and going all directions. I couldn't even get to the bodies for the hose and rope they'd lowered down all over the top of them. Well, I tugged to come back up and told them to cut the compressor down to a whisper and to pull the rope and hose out of there so it wouldn't be on top of the bodies. And I went back down and got the rope around one of them's chest and one of them's feet, and they pulled him out. But that hose was kicking up such a dust you couldn't see that far in front of your nose. So the mine inspector stopped and talked to me the next day. He said, I know what happened. He said the wind shifted that evening in the canyon and started coming down canyon. It was taking the exhaust fumes right into the intake of the compressor and putting monoxide down there. And it had raised in a zone so high. When they went through the zone, they got kind of sick and dizzy. And they tugged to come back up as soon as they got to the bottom of the hole. And going through that same zone again was enough to knock them out. And they fell to the bottom of the hole, and that's what killed them.